Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple, book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse study through the entire Bible. Currently reviewing Isaiah chapter 29. We're going to continue on now. I pause to express some thoughts about verse 13, that people honor God with their lips, but their hearts are far from Him. But that was a rebuke to the people of Israel at the time. So let's get into it. And one other thing too, that remember, God also is, his decree is denouncing a lot of the nations around Israel as well. Okay, so let's pick it up. We're gonna pick it up 13 again. The Lord said, because these people approach me with their mouths to honor me. You know what? Let me go do this. Let me go back and start from the beginning, and then we'll have it in our minds. So this is chapter 29, all right, and then verse 1 says, woe to Ariel, Ariel, the city where David camped, continue year after year. Let the festivals occur. I will oppress Ariel, and there will be mourning and crying, and she will be like an Ariel. So now, Ariel, of course, is the city of David, okay, Jerusalem. I joke because my youngest daughter name is Ariel. So it says, verse 3, I will camp in a circle around you. I will besiege you with earth ramps, and I will set up my siege towers against you. You will be brought down. You will speak from the ground, and your words will come from the low in the dust, and your voice will be like that of a spirit from the ground. Your speech will whisper from the dust. Your many foes would be like fine dust, and many of the ruthless like blowing chaff. Then suddenly, and in an instant, you will be visited by the Lord of hosts, with thunder, earthquake, and a loud noise, storm, tempest, and a flame of consuming fire. So again, God is, before we go on, understand that the Jerusalem um, is, and the prophecy has its sights just on Jerusalem now. The northern kingdom of Israel have fallen, right? So they're kind of out of the picture. Um, but Jerusalem and then the southern kingdom of Judah, their sins are just as bad, and this is what God is addressing. Um, did I miss something here? Well, go back to verse 5 again. Your many folds will be like fine dust, and many of the ruthless like blowing chaff. Then suddenly and in an instant you will be visited by the Lord of hosts, with thunder, earthquake, and a loud noise, storm, tempest, and the flame of a consuming fire. So this visitation here is not a good one from the Lord. It is in response to judgment for the many sins of Israel. Verse 7, all the many nations going out to battle against Ariel, all the attackers, the seas work against her, and those who oppress her will then be like a dream, a vision in the night. It will be like a hungry one who dreams he's eating, then wakes up and is still hungry, and like thirsty ones who dream he is drinking. And when he wakes up, he's still thirsty, longing for water. So it'd be like for many of the nations who go out to battle against Mount Zion. You ever had a dream like that? Notice he said like here. This, of course, is more dire, where you dream something, you wake up, and it's like, oh, it's not. It's just a dream. In this case, it's even worse. The hunger and the thirst. They dreaming about drinking, and they wake up and they're still thirsty. Verse 9. Stop and be astonished. Blind yourself and be blind. They are drunk, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with beer. For the Lord has poured out on you an overwhelming urge to sleep. He has shut your eyes, the prophets, and covered your heads, the seers. So now he's going to, again, condemn the corrupt leadership. For your entire vision will be like the words of a sealed document. If it is given to one who can read, and he is asked to read it, he will say, I can't read it because it is sealed. And if it is the document, and if the document is given to one who cannot read, and he asks to read it, he will say, I can't read it. The Lord said, because these people approach me with their mouths to honor me with their lip service, yet their hearts is far from me. And their worship consists of man-made rules learned by rote or continual it's a continual repetition. He says, therefore I will confound these people with wonder after wonder. The wisdom of their wise men will vanish, and the understanding of the perceptive will be hidden. Now, remember, when people get in this condition, this spiritual condition, understand it is because of conditions that they created. The wrong, the rebellion against God, the refusal to heed God and even repent. Verse 15. Woe to those who go to great lengths to hide their plans from the Lord. They do their work in darkness, and they say, who sees us? Who knows us? Now, on a lighter note, I can remember years ago doing that, thinking, when you come up with a plan and you're so selfish, right, that you don't want anyone to say no. And it could be the most horriblest plan, but you don't want anybody to say no, so you hide the truth from it. You avoid people that could give you wisdom. Okay? Verse 16, you have turned things around. Now, I did that one time, and it was, it cost me about a year and a half of hardships, okay, to say the least. Hardships, to say the least. But God was merciful. Verse 16, you have turned things around as if the potter were the same as the clay. How can what is made say about its maker, he didn't make me? How can what is formed say about the one who formed it? He doesn't understand what he's doing. This is kind of interesting. On other videos on my channel, I'm kind of dealing with some atheist thoughts. And this is very interesting because notice here he says about people who, one, are not recognizing God as creator. They're not submitting to him as creator. In fact, in their arrogance, they're saying, why are you making me like this? Right? Or notice he said, he didn't make me. Now that statement there doesn't necessarily mean that they don't believe in God. Atheists will say they don't believe in the existence of God. And I guess the statement can go either way. If you don't believe that he exists, you certainly are saying he didn't make you. Then he says, how can what is formed say about the one who formed it? He doesn't understand what he's doing. I'm dealing with a particular atheist who's doing exactly this statement right here. She had her whole YouTube channel is devoted to trying to dismantle God's by questioning his logic, by insulting God, by saying he's selfish, he's a monster, he's this, he's that, without ever acknowledging the fact that she doesn't have all the answers. A lot of times atheists do that. They don't have all the answers, but they're going to tell God, right? Or they're going to say he doesn't exist. And it's kind of confusing on their part because on the one hand, you're going to criticize a God you don't believe exists. Now, this is not talking about atheism per se. This is just talking about people who come to a place of sinfulness. One of the interesting things, even with atheists, I say this, when you peel back all the layers of people who claim that they don't follow God for one reason or another. When you peel back all of the layers, it's going to come down to this. This is what's going to be the revelation, especially at the judgment. It didn't matter what God, it didn't matter if you believed in God or didn't believe in God. Even if God fit your criteria, you would have rejected him. One of the most interesting things about the Pharisees is that the Pharisees knew who Jesus was. They knew the prophecies about Jesus. They knew the exact prophecies about Jesus. They knew he was the Messiah. They just rejected him. We know who you are, we're rejecting you. That's the epitome of the sin that's going to be revealed in the last day or the judgment. Remember, Adam knew who God was, he just rejected God. God told me to do this, I'm going to do it. That is the whole nature of sin. Verse 17, isn't it true that in just a little while Lebanon would become an orchard, and the orchard would seem like a forest, and on that day the deaf will hear the words of a document. Out of the deep darkness the eyes of the blind will see. The humble will have joy, the joy after joy in the Lord. And the poor people will rejoice, and the Holy One of Israel. For the rootless one will vanish, and the scorner will disappear, and all those who lie in wait with evil intent will be killed. Those who with their speech accuse a person of wrongdoing and set a trap at the gate for the mediator, and without cause deprive the righteous of justice. Again, God is laying out, remember, their sin is here. So when people say, well, God seems like he's harsh, well, go back and examine what the accusation that God is laying against them. I mean, and then when you kind of think about the reality, now we're going to see that, especially when we get to the book of Jeremiah, you're going to see sin at its worst. Okay? Verse 22. Therefore, the Lord who redeemed Abraham says this about the house of Jacob. Jacob will no longer be ashamed, and his face will no longer be pale. For when he sees his children, the work of my hands within this nation, excuse me, they will honor my name, and they will honor the Holy One of Jacob, and stand in awe of the God of Israel. Those who are confused will again gain understanding, and those who grumble will accept his instruction. Now, this prophecy, of course, is yet to come. This prophecy will actually, if you, from a prophetic timeline, you're going to have Jesus, the Messiah, cut off, the work of redemption worked, and then you'll see God fulfilling this prophecy with the nation of Israel here. Kind of important to understand, too, that he is focusing on the nation of Israel. Something I wanted to see, like I missed here. Back to verse 16. And he says, you have turned things around as if the potter were the same as the clay. I keep going back to that because I'm dealing with this with people who are skeptics now, ex-Christians or atheists. And this is something that they will have to reckon with God. Notice, and this is one of my response to people when they criticize God, that one, know that the fact that you can criticize God, and to me, null and in effect null and cancels out your argument, because if God was who, the unjust person, would he then allow you to criticize him? Now keep this in mind: when you criticize God, we all stand between birth and death. So every human being, we don't know what was before our birth, and truthfully, we can't even confirm our birth, can we? Can we really say we remember when we slid out our mother's womb? We can look at other births, right, and say, okay, well, that happened to us. Unless you're demented and want to say that, you're a Messiah and born, whatever, it wasn't born like that. But, but, but before birth and then death, we all know we don't know what death is. And I'm saying that to those who are in the land of the living, those who have died. Okay, no, but we we all share. Okay, we all share this time between birth and death. We all share that. So, in this time that God gives us on this earth, yeah, we can reject Him. Okay, but again, this idea that verse 16 again, you have turned things around as if the potter were the same as the clay. How can what is made say about its maker? He didn't make me. How can what is formed say about the one who formed it? He doesn't understand what he is doing. Now, a lot of people, especially that last statement, a lot of people do that. They know God doesn't know what he's doing. Or they ask questions, to me, that's related to this statement. If God is God of love, then why do people suffer? Yada, 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 yada. But let's start with the fact that God is God. Start with the revelation that God is God. Start with that revelation. God is God. He is the creator of the heavens and the earth. Start with that. All right, guys. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, I'll see you then.